Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We are about to unpack a truly fascinating and, honestly, highly unconventional philosophical text by an author named Zhu Feng. It's a piece that takes ancient dualities and uses them to reinterpret, well, literally everything. We're talking everything from modern morality to the very way we structure our human relationships. Our goal here is to impartially map out exactly what the text says, exploring a worldview that is absolutely bound to challenge how you see things. So let's jump right in. The text hooks us right out of the gate with a massive, profound question. Why is life just so confusing? According to the author, it's because we're all trapped in this dizzying labyrinth of life. Does that sound familiar? We're bombarded every single day by exhausting ideological debates, complex phenomena, and these inherited morals that just kind of stifle our imagination. Add in the daily grind of just trying to keep a roof over our heads, and it's no wonder we feel pulled between reality and illusion. The source argues that until we find a way to transcend all these exhausting details, we're going to stay completely lost in that maze. Section 1, The Labyrinth of Life and Escaping the Trap of Extremes. So how do we usually try to navigate this whole trap? Well, the author says humanity broadly falls into a few different lifestyles. First up, you've got the atheist. They focus entirely on the material world. Now, the text notes, they're actually pretty happy because they aren't bogged down by spiritual anxieties, but they're completely ignorant of anything beyond this current life. Then, on the flip side, there's the ascetic. They focus entirely on the spiritual, non-material world. They achieve detachment, sure, but the author argues this totally contradicts basic human nature, which leads us to the text's proposed third way, the ideal middle path. This is a lifestyle where you physically enjoy the material world to its absolute fullest, but your mind resides entirely in the spiritual realm. Section 2, the Tai Chi framework, the unity of opposites. Okay, so to actually pull off this elusive middle path, the text proposes a core solution, and it calls it Tai Chi Thinking. It defines this as the ultimate master key for bringing order out of total chaos. It's basically a mental framework. Instead of trying to understand the universe through its infinite, exhausting complexities, you work backward. You distill absolutely everything down to a simple unity of opposites, yin and yang. By doing this, the author claims you can instantly transform confusion into clarity and find the perfect path for your life. And this is where things get really fascinating. The author literally categorizes the entire universe into these symmetrical forces. Yang represents the male, the strong, the bright, the active. Yin represents the female, the gentle, the dark, the passive. The text insists that these opposites exist in a strict life and death relationship. They are perfectly symmetrical. You just can't have truth without falsehood, you can't have life without death, and you absolutely can't have yang without yin. To really anchor this philosophy, the text leans heavily on ancient wisdom. It points straight to traditional Chinese medical and philosophical teachings, like this quote from the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Medicine. The source uses this to prove that maintaining this delicate balance between these two forces isn't just a nice, poetic idea, it's the ultimate unbreakable law of the universe. If you get an excess of one, it literally causes a disorder in the other. Balance is everything. Section 3, Rethinking Good and Evil, the necessity of Satan. All right, taking this rigid binary lens, the text makes a massive and definitely controversial leap regarding some deeply held religious and moral concepts. The author argues that a benevolent greatest creator deliberately allows Satan, or evil, to exist. Now, why would that be? Because of symmetry. Think about it like a magnet. Without a North Pole, you can't have a South Pole. The author argues that if the creator were to just destroy all evil, good would necessarily be destroyed right along with it. Heaven itself would collapse, plunging the whole universe back into a chaotic, lifeless state of nothingness. So in this view, the existence of evil is actually framed as a strict cosmic necessity. Section 4, the illusion of equality. Why universal equality disrupts balance. So if the whole universe runs on this strict balance of opposites, like high and low, how does this worldview treat our modern pursuit of social equality? Well, the crucial point here is that the text believes attempting to eliminate distinctions between rich and poor, or high and low, directly violates natural law. The author strongly critiques movements like socialism for trying to force equality. To explain this, the text uses a pretty vivid analogy. If the author swapped roles with their gardener, so the gardener is suddenly writing philosophical texts while the author tries to clean the yard, it would just result in massive inefficiency and mutual suffering. The source argues that humanity's historical tendency to, quote, worry about inequality rather than poverty actually restricts productivity and wastes human talent because it totally ignores that natural Tai Chi balance of superior and inferior. Section 5, the cycles of transformation, the inevitable rise and fall. Looking through this specific lens, this constant balancing act is exactly what drives the inevitable rise and fall of literally all earthly powers. Nothing stays the same ever because yin and yang are always in motion. The text insists that extremes always lead to their opposites. When a force hits its absolute peak of strength, that very strength becomes the seed of its own decay. The author points out that just as the mighty Roman and British empires eventually faded to make way for new powers, our current dominant nations, ideologies, and even major religions are all going to decay and be replaced. It's a strict, unavoidable cycle. And to show just how incredibly fast this cycle is spinning right now, the author points to our accelerating tech and societal transformations. Think about it. We've gone from painstakingly handwriting letters on parchment to sitting in cinemas to instantly operating on high-speed global computer networks. It's kind of wild how fast your own world is shifting, right? The text asserts that traditional forms of family, nation, and religion are rapidly disintegrating under this intense speed, and only those whose Tai Chi thinking can keep up with the pace are actually going to survive the transition. Section 6. Carrying Yin, Embracing Yang. Reimagining interpersonal relationships. All right, we've arrived at probably the text's most radical application of Tai Chi thinking, taking this cosmic law of opposites and applying it straight to gender dynamics and human relationships. The author rigidly defines the genders within this framework. Men represent yang, which is natural strength, and women represent yin, which is natural gentleness. According to the source, any deviation from this, like say a man being weak and forcing a woman to become strong to compensate, completely goes against natural law. The text claims that this kind of unnatural role reversal breeds deep psychological and physical illness, eventually resulting in households that are just filled with passive resentment and suppressed anger. Because of this extreme, absolute need for balance, the text actually goes hard against the whole idea of monogamy. The author argues that a single partner can almost never satisfy the profound yin or yang needs of the other. The math they use is essentially this. A highly strong yang man needs an immense amount of yin gentleness to stay balanced, way more than just one woman can provide. And, on the flip side, a deeply gentle yin woman requires an immense amount of yang strength. Because of this built-in imbalance, the source insists that traditional marriages basically doom most people to a life of suffering and mediocrity. So what's the author's fix for all this? In Partially Speaking, the ultimate solution proposed here is the complete, total abolition of traditional marriage. The text outlines a utopian paradigm called the Thousand-Year World System, also known as Lifechanyuan. In this proposed new structure, the traditional, rigid roles of husband and wife are entirely broken down. They're replaced by a multi-partner, free-flowing system where yin and yang energies can mix, mingle, and balance without the restrictive constraints of a one-to-one relationship. And that brings us to the end of our dive into this highly unique and, very provocative worldview. We've just seen how the author uses a single, simple duality to explain the fall of empires, to justify the very existence of evil, and even to propose the total abolition of marriage. Now, setting aside whether you agree with these radical conclusions, it absolutely offers a completely distinct lens for viewing reality, which leaves us with the author's final, lingering question for you to chew on as you navigate your own labyrinth of life. Have you carried yin and embraced yang?